Today we're going to be talking about some new everyday carry bags, which will hopefully help some of you guys stay minimal while still having everything that you need with you at all times. What's going on, everyone? Back with another episode of Stuff and Things. I've got some new packs to show you guys. Not a real surprise there because I have a backpack and kind of like a sling pouch problem at this point. I'm always testing out different bags and gear when it comes to keeping things organized, especially in like the photo camera sense of things, because I basically always have a camera with me and I always like to have tools with me to create things out of the content that I'm shooting. So the company in particular we're talking about is ALPAKA Gear, and I've actually done a video on this modular sling pouch in the past. If you guys want to check out that video, I will leave a link for it up here in the corner, but this thing is great and I still use it to this day on specific occasions. I basically use this thing as an everyday carry dump pouch for items that I don't want to have in my pocket. In the video that I made on this, I was specifically talking about using this while flying on an airplane because it's kind of annoying to be reaching into your pockets and looking for your AirPods or your cell phone while you're flying. So having this thing strapped to your chest, it just makes my life a lot easier. So this thing is still in the rotation and you will see me wearing it occasionally, especially when flying or when I'm jumping in and out of vehicles all the time, whether I'm in the truck or the van. So ALPAKA reached out to me and they said, hey, do you want to test out some new everyday carry kind of minimal style bags? And of course I said yes, because I bought this thing in the past, I love it, I still use it to this day. And I had a trip coming up. I of course was just in South Lake Tahoe skiing for a few days, and I figured maybe I will test this thing out on the slopes while we're getting wet in the snow and the powder. And I decided to run this thing as kind of like my primary camera bag for that trip. Now I'm going to show you guys how I had these things laid out for the past couple of weeks while I was on the road, in and out of my Kimbo while I was skiing, and maybe this will give you some ideas on how you can fine-tune your EDC depending on what you're doing. First up, let's start with this tiny little backpack here, which is known as the Metro backpack. The Metro backpack is going to make your everyday carry a lot lighter and more minimal, which is what I typically shoot for on a regular basis. It's made out of 100% recycled materials out of this fabric that they call AxoFlux. They advertise this as being weatherproof, which was perfect for me in the cold skiing environments, and you can pick up this pack for less than $100. Now, while this thing is small, there's still a ton of place to store all your must-have items. There are two main zipper compartments, and they are packed with a bunch of different pockets for all of your gear. On the inside of the main compartment, the Metro features a soft-touch fleece-lined laptop sleeve, which will fit up to a 14-inch laptop. The bag in its entirety has about a 12-liter capacity, and since this thing is lightweight, it is actually very comfortable even when skiing all day loaded up with a bunch of gear. You have a padded back panel and really nice kind of contour padded straps. Now let me dive into this thing and show you guys how I had it loaded out while we were skiing. First up with this outer compartment here. This front zipper is a YKK AquaGuard zipper, so I had no problem with water or anything getting in there. And then on the inside here, this is what I was using as kind of like my everyday carry dump pouch. So anything that was typically found in my pocket, I would load out in here. So I of course have my Leatherman Signal multi-tool. There are two different pen pockets, which I of course was putting my Streamlight MicroStream flashlight in there. I would dump my wallet in here as well because I'm always going in and out of my pockets while we are skiing. And then they also have this little integrated strap here, which they call their Mod Key Tether. This pack came to me with this little module right here, which is kind of like a magnetic release mechanism. So I just connected my keys to this, that way they were extra secure, and if you ever need to pull them out, it just kind of like rocks and then disconnects very easily. They also sell a bunch of other accessories that are compatible with this, like a little card holder. I believe they even have a hand sanitizer holder. So there are a bunch of different little tools that you can use with their Mod Key Tether, and it's kind of a nice touch. I typically don't use this, but when we're out on the mountain, I really don't want to lose my keys. Now this fabric over the past couple weeks has been holding up really great even in the snowy kind of wet conditions. This bag did get wet, and I think that front zipper on there definitely made a difference. Now when it comes to the main compartment, this has zippers on both sides, and they call these silent zippers. And if you pull them slowly, I would say they are pretty quiet, but if you're ripping this open in a hurry, you're still gonna have the zipper sound. Now this bag has a pretty large access to it, even though it is pretty small. And this isn't perfectly dialed for my setup, but I was using this thing for everything. I would go into the gym with a change of clothing and a water bottle in here. When we were skiing, I would pack camera gear, kind of how I have it packed out right now. And I like that there are a bunch of different storage solutions in here, but I think it's still gonna take me a little while to really fine tune how I'm actually gonna use this pack in the future. Now starting on the back here, this is where you have that really soft padded fleece lined laptop sleeve. And unfortunately, this will only fit a 14-inch MacBook. I, of course, am editing all of my videos on a MacBook Pro. I'm using all Apple Pro products, so I really need a little bit more space in this. I'm not going to be able to fit my laptop in here. So in the future, I think I would probably bump up to their Elements backpack, which is very similar in design to this, but it will allow me to carry around more gear and, of course, my laptop. Occasionally, I was throwing my iPad mini in here, but we're going to talk about that once we move over to the tech case. So if you're traveling around with a 14-inch MacBook, then this thing should be fine for you. You have two pockets on that sleeve which are made out of this stretchy material, and this is where I'm keeping camera batteries for the most part. On the left side I have a cable for the actual charger itself, and then on the right side I have this charger here which holds an extra battery, and of course I have a battery in my camera at all times. I don't want to go on too much of a tangent here, but with my camera I can actually charge this thing with the battery in it using a USB-C cable, and that will kind of relate to the tech pouch in a second. But since this bag is pretty well padded all the way through, I've just been simply taking my Leica Q3 and just kind of sliding it down in there. It fits nice and snug because it is a smaller camera, and then when I zip this thing up, it just kind of cradles it in there. This camera is an absolute tank, and I've got some pretty cool shots of us skiing with that thing out there. And then towards the outside of this backpack, you have two more storage compartments, which they advertise as water bottle pockets. I was skiing with a Nalgene, a smaller version, but I will say that the Nalgenes in here are very, very tight. This is actually a 48 ounce Nalgene here, so I like having water with me, and it does fit in here, but it's pretty dang tight. That is a pretty large water bottle, and it fits in this backpack perfectly. So whether I was using this actual sleeve here or not, that water bottle was with me basically all the time. And then last but not least, we have another kind of stretchy material pocket up here, which is zippered, and this is where I was keeping my AirPods because I use these for editing. I will occasionally listen to music while we're skiing too, so any smaller items you can kind of dump in there and have them zipped up, that way they're not flying all over your backpack. This thing is very minimal, so on the outside all you have is this little grab handle on the top, two nice backpack straps, and I was able to wear this thing all day very comfortably. It kind of just blends in with whatever you're wearing. They are available in two different colors. We have the black version like I have, as well as a kind of like a army green color, if you like throwing some colors into the mix. There's no waist strap on this, there's no strap to keep these connected together, and honestly, I never really use that stuff on other backpacks, so this thing is just very simple, very minimal, and it holds pretty much gear for only being 12 liters. If you tighten up these straps here, you will of course have some extra length on the pull tabs, so they include these little stretchy keepers, that way you can slide them down and you won't have straps flying all over the place as you are riding down the mountain. So that's how I've been running the Metro backpack for the last couple of weeks. I'm just kind of using it as like a giant dump pouch for carrying clothing and toiletries if I'm going into a place to shower, or in my specific case, camera gear, of course, because I like having stuff with me at all times, and it's better than lugging around my entire video setup like this. This is also a nice bag, but I like keeping things a little bit more minimal. Now let's move on to this new tech pouch, which I actually might prefer a little bit more than the backpack because I found myself using this thing a lot more. This is a pretty standard tech pouch with a lot of cool features in it. It has a really intuitive design with a lot of space for organization inside of here. I have mainly been using this tech pouch as a way to keep all of my camera gear organized on like the post-processing side. So cables, chargers, photo editing stuff, things like that I've been keeping in here while I'm sitting at a desk in my camper, or if I'm going into a place like a coffee shop to get some work done, I have everything that I need right here inside of this pack. I think going forward, I will probably leave all of my essentials in here and just have it thrown onto my desk. That way it keeps things nice and organized and I know exactly where everything is, rather than having just cables and chargers thrown all over the place. So let's dive into this thing and I will show you how I have the tech pouch set up. First and foremost, on the outside we have 2 compartments just like the Metro backpack, and they are YKK waterproof, so I could have actually been skiing with this thing. You have a little dump pouch on the outside, which I wasn't really using for much, but if I had my phone in my pocket and wanted to have it on my body, because this thing does have a removable strap, you can wear this as a sling pack and then just throw some items in there. Now, if you just have this thing sitting on a desk, what's cool about it is this design. It kind of accordions open and it will stand up on its own. So in here, like I mentioned, I had this thing set up for mainly photo editing and also for charging all of my gear. So a lot of my cameras, my cell phone, my lights, basically everything, even my microphones actually, are charged with USB-C. It just makes life a whole lot easier. So inside of here where I do all of my thumbnail editing, I manage a lot of YouTube stuff from this little guy right here, which is an iPad mini. I'm not doing anything really crazy when it comes to photo editing or designing thumbnails or really managing anything on my YouTube channel. So I just have this in a smart case, and this happens to fit perfectly inside of this ALPAKA tech pouch. Now there are 2 different zipper pouches inside of this thing as well, and one of them I'm not really using for anything right now, but I do have a lot of space to add more gear in the future. And then in the center zipper pouch, they are actually divided into 3 different smaller compartments. So in here I keep an SD card adapter for micro SDs. I can plug this thing right into my computer, or if I'm shooting photos and I pull the SD card and want to put them right onto my iPad, I also have this little Anchor USB-C, micro SD, and standard SD card reader, so I can plug this thing directly into my iPad and get all of the photos that I shot onto my device, ready to be edited and shared with everyone. Pretty simple. So that is in the middle zipper compartment, and then on the outside of that I have all of my charging solutions. So here I have a fairly large Anchor power bank, and I can actually basically charge everything with this. I can power my laptop, I can charge AirPods and my phone. If someone else has a device or something that needs to be charged, it will accept 2 different USB-Cs and then a standard USB on the side there. I got this thing on Amazon. It is the Anchor 537 Power Bank Power Core. I've been using this thing a lot on the road because power is a little bit limited when I'm in the truck, so this thing definitely comes in handy. And then last but not least, on the furthest outside piece here, I have room for 2 different pouches where I keep charging cables. So here I have a USB-C charging cable, and like I said, this will charge everything. My cameras, my iPad, my phone. I can basically do everything with just this one cable here, and I travel light, so that's actually all the cables I have in here right now. There's also a little pen storage here, which I keep my Apple Pencil in, so when I'm editing photos and things like that, or creating thumbnails for YouTube videos, constantly using this thing, and instead of having it magnet to the top of my iPad, I've just been sliding it in there, that way it doesn't get bumped loose. Now there's a little bit of a grab handle on the back here, so if you're not a fan of having this in sling mode, you can obviously take that off, and then there is a D-ring here, so you can set it up kind of as a cross pack, fanny pack. However you want to have this thing set up, you can basically take the strap and mount it however you see fit. When I was going from my camper into coffee shops, I would just kind of sling it over the front of me like this, and then I have access to everything right here. So pull out my iPad, do some work, and get everything that I need in a small little tech pouch like this. So I have said it before in the video on the modular sling pouch, but I'm gonna say it again. This ALPAKA Gear is very, very nice stuff, and for the most part, it's relatively affordable too. They offer a lot of different EDC bags for a lot of different occasions, and at this point, I don't think I've found the perfect bag yet. I'm thinking something the tech pouch size, but could also hold my Leica Q3. If I could have my camera and all of my editing gear for charging and my iPad, and if I could basically work on photography out of a single bag like this, I think that would be ideal. The Metro backpack could definitely do it, but since I'm using an iPad mini, I could kind of use something like in between this size. Or if I want to go onto a full-blown 16-inch MacBook setup with all of my camera gear, then I would probably up from this to the Element backpack. So maybe I'll try that out in the future. Let me know what you guys think about this gear if you've used it yourself. I'm a big fan of their products, and I think you guys would be too. If you like high quality everyday carry gear, then this is definitely a company to look at. Now I wanted to say thanks to ALPAKA for sending this stuff out for me to test, and if you guys have any questions on it, let me know in the comments down below. I believe they also hooked it up with a 15% discount code, so once I find out what that is, I will leave that in the description down below. So if you guys want to try this stuff out, you could pick up this backpack for way less than $100, and you could use a discount code on other things like this tech pouch to save a lot of money if this is something that you want to pick up for yourself. So that's all that I had for now. If you guys are new to this channel and you want to see some more EDC gear in the future, consider clicking subscribe because I make new videos every single week. As always, thank you for watching. I'll talk to you in the next one.